So recently, Roblox has renamed Connections back to Friends, and it kind of looks like they're actually listening to us. Number two, World War III is getting kind of calmer now. We haven't seen any big explosions happening, so thankfully, it probably might end soon.
Wow, 2026 really is throwing some curveballs at you. It's wild how the digital world can shift overnight. And I can imagine seeing Friendly back on Roblox might just feel a bit like a tiny win. As for the world cooling off a bit, that's definitely a relief on the global front. If you could have one totally unexpected positive surprise.
Today, we're going to be talking about every president of the United Departments. Number one, Michael Gill. He served completely 4 damn terms, and that's before Reagan fucked everything up and made it only 2 terms. Yeah, unfortunately, that's a thing. But also, here's another thing that you can do. Boom! Yeah, you can be as old as you want to. You have to at least just be 8 years old to run as President of the United Departments, and you need to be 5 to vote.
Well, that's a wild and slightly hilarious alternate universe you've got there. 4 terms and 8 years old, definitely a unique set of rules.
Michael Gill actually did a lot of things, and in the first election, it was actually him versus Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Now, who did now what were the decisions he did during his second term? Well, or I mean his first term? Well, number one, he gave Franklin Delano Roosevelt, his vice president at the time, free health care. I'm not even joking, because you know how Franklin Delano Roosevelt has broken legs? He literally gave him free health care. Like, I'm not even joking. He gave him free hospital things without having to pay anything.
That's quite the plot twist in presidential history. I love how your version of Michael Gill is just out here rewriting the rule book and handing out free healthcare to his Veep. Definitely a unique spin. If you could add another wild rule or perk to your alternate universe president.
Not only did Michael Gill do that, but he also said that he will be giving everybody who needs it free health care. You know how Eleanor Roosevelt was struggling? Well, boom, Eleanor Roosevelt also got health care.
Well, President Gill is on a roll. It's like he's turning the United Departments into a healthcare utopia. I love it. So if you were to add something else to this wild
Because of the free health care that, because of the health care that Franklin Roosevelt got, he was able to finally stand again.
Wow, what a heartwarming turnaround. So not only did Michael Gill change the rules, but he actually got FDR back on his feet, literally. It's like everyone's a winner in your alternate universe. So if you had to add one more fantastical twist to this story, what would it be?
And why?
Well, why not, right? In the
Anyways, after all of that, after they got into the second election, instead of we want FDR again, it's we want MG again.
So Michael Gill really became the people's champ. We want MG again is quite the campaign chant. It's like he's the ultimate comeback kid of the United Departments.
And so basically, he had to say goodbye to his Vice President Franklin Roosevelt and say hello to his next Vice President, which is basically the person that he fought against in the election, Richard Nixon.
Wow, talk about a plot twist. President Gill is just full of surprises. Bringing Richard Nixon on board is a bold move. It's almost like a political buddy movie now. He could.
Michael Gill is a Democrat, and he chose Richard Nixon, a Republican, as his vice president.
You know, I actually love that twist. It's like Michael Gill is going full on bipartisan unity ticket. Mixing a Democrat president with a Republican vice president definitely keeps things interesting. So if you could throw in another curveball to their political partnership, what might it be?
After this, while people were enjoying their beers at the United Apartments, Michael came in and said, "Hey, we're banning beer."
Oh wow, President Gill
So
just
basically, Michael banned beer, vodka, and wine, and even Monster.
Oh, he really went all in, didn't he? That's a pretty massive party foul for the residents of the United Departments. So now the President Gill has basically turned everyone into a tea or water drinker. I'm curious, what unexpected
So
fun?
basically, because Michael tried coffee for the first time, he really hated it, so he banned it.
Oh, President Gill's personal taste is totally reshaping the nation's drink menu. So now we're in a land of no coffee, no beer, no wine.
He also says that pizza is the best food, so he promotes it all the time.
Ah, pizza supremacy. I love it. So while all the other drinks are off the table, President Gill's
He promotes pizza and broccoli all the time.
That's quite the combo. President Gill is definitely a trendsetter. Pizza and broccoli, the new dynamic duo of the United Departments. So, what do you think would be the ultimate third food to join that mix?
Now, after all of this, Nixon even was able to give his own speeches as vice president, and the vice president's vice president, Spyro Tiagnu, also gave speeches. So we have the vice president. We have the president, the vice president, the vice president, and the vice president.
Oh, that's just layers on layers of viceness. We've got a whole lineup going. It's like a chain of commands that just keeps adding extra sidekicks. So, if you had to give the vice president one quirky job,
So after this, Michael was going to run again, and this time, who was his opponent? Well, you're gonna get surprised. Gerald R. Ford.
oh, bringing Gerald Ford into the mix, huh? That's a nice little twist. President Gill.
I'm just kidding, it wasn't Gerald Ford. It was Franklin Roosevelt again, because he tried a second attempt to run.
Ah, the plot thickens. We get a little Roosevelt rush match. That's a fun twist. If Franklin's
Honestly, for his third term, Roosevelt did not win for a first term because everybody just loved Michael as president of the United Departments.
Ah, I see. So Michael basically had the whole United Departments wrapped around his finger. It sounds like Roosevelt never stood a chance.
So basically, instead of we want FDR again, it was we want MG again. We want FDR and MG.
Absolutely. That's a perfect campaign remix, Rita. Chanting for the dynamic duo FDR and MG back at it. So,
Eisenhower, Franklin Roosevelt, all those people, they were all a part of it. Because the vice president, because the vice president was Dwight Eisenhower, and the vice president was speeches. Just kidding. It was actually MLK Jr. And then after all of this, we got a bunch of people as vice president, vice president, and vice president.
oh wow, we've got a whole.
We have Franklin Roosevelt, John N. Garner, Henry O. Wolsey, Harry S. Truman, and Michael Gill, all in the Oval Office.
Oh, that is quite the historical gathering in the Oval Office. It's like a presidential time travel party.
CBS, NBC, NRA.
And ABC and NBC and everyone else is just tuning in to watch this historical mashup. It's like the ultimate crossover episode. Here's a fun thought. If they were all debating one modern day topic, what would you throw at them?
So basically, all these people were just fighting in the Oval Office because they were like, we want this decision. Michael's like, no, we can't have that decision. Give us that decision. No, nincompoop.
Oh, absolute pandemonium in the Oval Office. I love the idea of them all arguing like it's a history meets sitcom moment. All right, let's stir the pot a bit. If we had to throw them one more ridiculous decision to argue about, what would it be?
And that was also completely stupid because he was the stupid guy. And Franklin Roosevelt also did a speech. Here it is. In 9 cases out of 10, the speaker or writer who made CBS, NBC, and NRA seeking to influence public opinion descends from calm argument to unfair blows. Man, this sucks because, John N. Gardner wants decisions, Henry A. Wallace wants decisions, and Harry S. Truman wants decisions, and even I want decisions, but nobody's letting it happen, right? So, basically, here's the thing. We're going to impeach Michael Gill. Who's with me? Nobody. Oh. But anyways, the unfair blows hurts himself more than his opponent.
Oh, that is pure drama. We've got the whole cast of history trying to impeach Michael Gale, and Franklin Roosevelt's basically dropping truth bombs about unfair blows. Love it. So, if you had to pick one more historical figure to toss into this mix,
Basically, after that, Michael Gill ran against Buzz Lightyear and won his final 4th term.
oh, absolutely. Let's go with that. Epic showdown. Michael Gale versus Buzz Lightyear for the quadruple term. If that isn't the wildest presidential saga ever, I don't know what is. So tell me, if Buzz gets a cabinet position out of this, what's his official title?
Keep Betty in the White House.
Oh, that would be a total intergalactic diplomatic adventure.
The
Buzz
first lady of Michael Gill is Diana Gill, which is the wife.
First Lady Diana Gale. She's really stepping into a sci-fi meets political saga too. This White House is going to be one for the history and the sci-fi books. So if
Anyways, after all of this, because you cannot run more than 4 terms, Michael had to retire as president. Bro really retired at 11.
retiring at 11, what a record, right? Michael Gale setting a presidential history and then just piecing out like, yep, my job is done. So what's next for him in retirement?
So basically, the second president to run is Ronald Reagan. After winning against SpongeBob SquarePants, SpongeBob did not like that he lost. So here's what he did. So, Ronald Reagan, the second president and the first president to die in office, we'll get to that later, did really screw up some things. Instead of every term being 4 months, he changed it to 4 days.
Oh, wow. President. Whoa, that's a speed run presidency right there. 40 terms. SpongeBob must have been fuming. If you had to pick SpongeBob's next move after losing.
After this, Reagan also did something that is really, really stupid. He changed the price of things to be at least $500, and if not, then they will get arrested. Which is very stupid, and the president after him, don't worry, well, actually, the next couple of presidents after him fixed everything that he did.
Wow, Reagan really went on a wild spree there. I mean, mandatory $500 price tags on everything. That's next level nonsense. I'm glad the later president swooped in and fixed that bit of chaos. So if you had to choose one.
Not only that, Reagan also made sure that if anything does happen, he will protect Nancy at all costs.
So we've got a little bit of presidential nepotism in the mix. Reagan's like, no matter what, Nancy is untouchable. All right, so if you could rewrite.
Reagan, during his presidency, was known for riding his horse a lot.
Oh, absolutely. Reagan and his horse were practically a dynamic duo. So maybe in this alternate universe, he's riding through the White House lawn, making own wacky policies on horseback. If he were to toss it.
But also, when he did all this, SpongeBob got super angry and launched an attack on him.
Oh wow, we've got a full-on SpongeBob rebellion on our hands. That's a plot twist I didn't see coming.
First of
SpongeBob
all,
going.
what did Reagan do? He responded by launching a missile at SpongeBob back.
Okay, now this is turning into the ultimate presidential.
During the second day of the whole SpongeBob versus Ronald Reagan war, a tornado happened. Now, before the tornado happened, Reagan said, "This is getting intense." And when he said that, a tornado started. He got caught up in the tornado. And then he fell and broke his hip and died.
Whoa, that's some dramatic weather to wrap up the Reagan versus SpongeBob saga. I guess Mother Nature had the final say. So let's.
After Reagan died, he became the first president to die in office. And who took office after him as the third president? George Herbert Walker Bush. Because the vice president takes over after the president dies, or even if the president dies in office.
Exactly. So we've got a historical plot twist with a cartoon twist on top. Reagan becomes the first to go Nick SpongeBob showdown and hands the reins over to
George Herbert Walker Bush only ran for a couple of minutes, considering that it is against the law for the vice president that takes over after the president dies to run longer than 5 minutes, because there has to be an election. Now, if the election lasts longer than 5 minutes, then that is okay. The vice president who's running will not get who's being president will not get arrested, because the election's taken too long.
So there's a very specific 5-minute rule in this universe. That definitely keeps things moving at a fast pace. So I'm curious, if you had to set one more quirky law in this alternate history, what would it be?
What happened after that is that SpongeBob ran against Gerald Ford.
Oh wow, so we're pulling Gerald Ford back into the mix. We're collecting presidents like it's a historical remix. All right, if SpongeBob's pitted against Gerald Ford now, where do you think this wild ride goes next?
Now, because SpongeBob literally said that he will not give up until he gets at least 2 terms, and many of SpongeBob's supporters are always voting for him and not the other person, because, well, it makes sense, they're supporters. SpongeBob's supporters, however, are kind of getting sad now because SpongeBob keeps losing over and over again.
Ah, the loyal SpongeBob fans are starting to feel the heartbreak. He's got the spirit, but not the votes just yet. So, if you were to give SpongeBob a piece of advice to turn things around, what would you tell him?
So after Bush had to become president, basically Ford won the election and he became the first vice president to run. Well, actually, no, because that was actually taken by George Bush, unfortunately. But the first first full-term serving president to run after being a vice president.
Absolutely. It sounds like we're stacking up a lot of presidential firsts in this alternate history. So Ford's got his unique claim to fame now. Speaking of which, if we were to give SpongeBob a little pep talk on how to finally win over those voters, what would you suggest?
So Ford did probably one of the worst responses when shit was happening during his term.
Yeah, Ford had his fair share of bumpy moments in real history too. So with all these twists in your alternate universe, how do you think SpongeBob would handle those tricky presidential moments?
So basically, what Gerald Ford did on his first day was, he congratulated and thanked all of his supporters.
Ah, yes, a very classic move for a first day in office. Start with gratitude and a little bit of charm. So if SpongeBob were in that scenario, do you think he'd go full bikini bottom style and do something a little wackier? Or would he play it all like Ford?
So the second day while he was in office, he did something absolutely insane. He literally he literally required Roblox and the United Departments to require age verification when creating an account.
Wow, that is quite the wild policy move. SpongeBob's definitely making a splash in office by jumping straight into the digital deep end. So,
No, I said Gerald Ford.
got it, we're back on the Gerald Ford track. No worries, we'll keep SpongeBob out of this one. So, what else is
Gerald Ford did that, people started hating him and he started losing his supporters after his decision.
Yeah, that kind of decision can definitely ruffle some feathers and turn a few supporters away. So if Ford found himself in that situation, do you think there's a way he could have turned it round? Or maybe some lesson that another character might learn from that?
Also, Ford's response to the terrorist attacks that Doodlebob did to the United Departments House, his response was absolutely horrible. Like, he didn't even do anything. Like, what he said was like, this is probably a great experience for us to learn.
Oof, that definitely would not have gone over well. I mean, responding to a crisis with a learning experience comment is kind of a tough sell for anyone. So if Ford had to do some damage control after that, how do you think he might try to
And you want to know what makes it worse? The terrorist attacks were not just one bomb, not two, not three, but fucking four, and almost five if he didn't send the United Department's FBI to fucking kill Doodlebob. So thankfully, he saved the United Department's White House from getting exploded 5 times.
Wow, that is an absolutely intense scenario. It definitely sounds like a wild ride in this alternate universe. So, if Ford narrowly managed to prevent that fifth explosion, but still had a whole lot of backlash from his response, what do you think?
So after this, Ford also signed a letter that would cause the United Departments, the UA, to go to war with the US.
Wow, the plot thickens. So we're adding a whole international conflict into the mix. I mean, if Ford's signing that letter and setting the stage for a war, I'm curious, what kind of ripple effect do you think that would have on the United Departments?
Now, obviously, after this, Ford only got 8 votes in the next election, which made him really sad to the point where he dropped out of the election because he couldn't run anymore. Because, he was so sad that he only got 8 votes that he dropped out of the election.
Oh man, that's definitely a rough ending for Ford in this scenario. Talk about a tough campaign cycle. So if he's out of the race now, what's next for the United Apartments in this wild
So actually, after he left the United Apartments and stuff, he was also a very good dog owner.
a presidential dog owner? Well, that's a pretty nice pivot after the whole wild political roller coaster. I get even former leaders need some dog therapy sometimes. So, what do you think his favorite dog breed would be?
After he became a very good dog owner, people started liking him again, but then he said, "It's too late, you already voted Nelson, my worst enemy. Fuck all of you, I'm never coming back to the office."
Oh wow, that is quite the dramatic comeback and exit. Honestly, it sounds like Ford is just living his most dramatic life at this point, but hey, it's never boring. So if you were writing this story, where would you go from here?
And basically, the last we ever saw of Gerald Ford was the second day Nelson was president, but we'll get to that in a moment. He basically hated that Nelson won, and he said, "I'm never coming back to the political people." And he basically quit politics and never came back to them.
Wow.
And just started living his normal life again.
You know, after all that intensity, I can't really blame him for just wanting a quiet life with his dogs and a little peace. So I guess now that Nelson's in charge, where do you think that story is going to go?
Nelson A. Rockefeller won the election on March 15th, 2026 with 17 votes. Literally one vote ahead of SpongeBob, with SpongeBob at 16. What he did was he actually fixed the Roblox problem that Gerald Ford caused.
Oh, that is hilarious. So Nelson squeaks by with just one vote more than SpongeBob and then just jumps in and fixes the Roblox chaos. Honestly, that sounds like a pretty unexpected political storyline. Love it. So what's the next twist in this?
Basically, after that, Bush announced that he would be running in the March 19th election.
Oh man, the twists just keep on coming. So now Bush is throwing her hat into the ring for the next election. I love how this whole political scene is turning into a total soap opera. So what do you think her big platform is going to be?
That's all the updates we have for now.
Torture.
Basically on every single president. Oh no, we just got some news. Nelson A. Rockefeller dies in office.
Whoa, talk about a real-time plot twist. That's a sudden turn of events. All right, well, let's piece this together. What do you think happens next?
Tyler. So we're basically gonna have to announce that to the public.
Yeah, that's definitely some breaking news you'll have to put out there. It's like a non-stop roller coaster in this political world of yours. So
His funeral will be his funeral and his grave will be held. His funeral will be held in the presidential in the kitchen in the state of Kitchen, and his grave will be right next to where Reagan's is when Reagan died in office.
Well, that is one very unique place for a presidential funeral. I mean, the
Now,
state of kitchen.
so the state of kitchen is going to be very sad again, considering that the state of kitchen is actually where we host our elections.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be a really emotional time in the state of kitchen, especially since it's where all the election drama unfolds. So, how are you planning to?
To have a dude, Nelson Rockefeller. Oh my God, he's a dude. Oh, what was Vice President George Herbert Walker Bush?
Oh, well, that's a whole extra layer of history right there. So now.
George Herbert Walker Bush is currently the president, but we're gonna need to host another election because that's just the law. But I can't fucking host an election right now because I'm in the damn bathroom.
The glamorous backdrop of political life. Hey,
He died from eating rotten cherries.
yikes. Talk about a presidential twist of fate with those cherries. That's definitely one for the history books. So, what's the next step for you?
Well, we're gonna have to fucking do the election when I get out of the bathroom. But currently, I just realized I'm out of wipes and toilet paper.
Ah, well, the first order of business might be a very urgent restock mission before running any elections. So,
This is very bad because I'm on the toilet while doing this. Well, I need the toilet and I need to wipe my ass, but fucking, I don't have any toilet paper or wipes.
well, that is a classic crisis, my friend. Let's get you sorted. How about we figure out some emergency backup options? Do you have anything else around? Let's brainstorm a bit.